Girl, if you are last minute shopping like me, get into it this season with Teddy Blake. Teddy Blake is a luxury handbag company made in Italy, but their prices are so affordable. Normal luxury bags go from anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000, and with Teddy Blake, you get the same luxury bags with the same exquisite materials while never compromising on quality for an even better price. Teddy Blake creates handbags for every designer choice, so if you don't like one that you see, they go ahead and release a new collection every single month. Their designers are always working hard and researching to develop new unique ideas while also trying to keep the price point at the most affordable level. The durability of these bags is insane, is actually why I love them literally so much. I've had this one right here for over a year. It is white, girl. It is not even dirty. I bring this to New York. I throw it in my car. It has been through some stuff, but it's still durable. So if you're looking for an amazing holiday gift, you can never go wrong with a handbag. And right now, Teddy Blake is actually having a 60% off sale. And girl, you already know I got you covered with a coupon code, so go ahead and use code TBDakota30 for an extra $30 off your purchase. Link in my bio to get started today. Please do not let this look fool you. Although I look cute, I'm very sick right now. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Dakota. I make a ton of content on this channel I think you really like. So if you do like today's video, don't forget to give it a huge thumbs up, to comment something down below, and of course to subscribe and turn your post notifications on. That way you never miss a video, period. Today, I'm drinking some medicine ball tea because I'm sick, girl. I've been sick the past 2 days. I had the fever, the chills, the body aches, everything. And today I'm finally feeling somewhat better. Makeup definitely helps for sure, like getting up and looking cute. I like literally love this sweater. It's like the classic Gratz, like back in the Disney.
Y'all look a mess, like.
I don't know, it just like does something for me. So anyways, today we are going to do story time submissions from subscribers, because I forgot a while ago that I had posted like, hey, me in, you know, story times, whatever, X, Y, and Z. And I looked at my email today. Listen to the title of these. The first one is Mom's Boyfriend Pregnant with My Dad. I don't even know how that's like a thing, but okay. And then he lied about his grandfather dying to cover up his other relationship. Bitch, we have to read these. Like, there just is no other way around it. So anyway, grab your wine, grab your snacks, grab your tea, grab whatever it is that you need, and let's get into these stories because the tea is just, it's absolutely piping today. That's insane. Okay, so the title is He Lied About His Grandfather Dying to Cover Up His Other Relationship. So the email reads, I've been loving how you've started sharing your subscriber stories. I definitely have a few crazy ones myself. The one I'm going to share today stands out in particular, and to this day I still cannot believe that I experienced it. I first have to thank you before I get into my story. I've been watching your videos for a couple of years, and they've helped me get through some really tough times in life and inspired me to start my own journey of spiritual growth. Well, thank you so much, girl. I appreciate that. I'm happy that in some way my crazy stories and crazy life has helped you. Like, that really does mean a lot to me, so thank you so much. So without further ado, let's get into it. I think we've all met that particular person at some point in our lives that really makes us wonder how one human can be so messed up in the head and cultivate such a massive garden of lies. Yo, for real, like, I was like literally doing dishes this morning and I was thinking about like my Adrian story times, and I was like, that man never liked me. That man hated me. Like, he actually fucking hated me. The fact that I actually sat here and was like, oh no, like we were so in love, like he loved me so much. Girl, no, he didn't. He hated you.
He hated you.
Like, he actually hated you, and somehow make everyone around them believe or go along with everything they say. Yo, I hate that so much. Have you ever met that one person where it's like, you know that they're not a good person and you try to tell everybody like they're not a good person, like I just have a bad feeling, and nobody believes you until something crazy happens and they're like, oh my god, yeah, they're a horrible person. No shit. Like, I literally told you that like months ago, and you didn't want, nobody wants to believe a Pisces until shit hits the fan, and then they're like, oh yeah, Dakota, you were right. No shit, I was right. I'm a fucking psychic. Bitch, the fuck you talking about? In my case, I met that person in summer of 2019. I was 25, just escaped from a horrible date. He was a nice guy, but showed up to the restaurant we'd agreed to meet at. Already so drunk he could barely stand up. Thankfully, after sending the SOS, 2 of my best friends rescued me from the restaurant. They had been on their way to go out for the night in the nightclub in our small town. The area we live in is very rural in New England, and besides the typical bar scene, there are only 2 nightclubs in almost 3-hour radius.
I'm gonna sneeze.
Ugh, God, I hate being sick. They're in the same building. One is your typical dance club while the other is a strip club. We decided to go to the dance club to get a drink and people watch. As soon as we went in, I immediately recognized one of the bouncers as a guy who had been trying to hit me up for the past month. He let me in for free but didn't say much to me that night. A few days later, I was bored at home and saw I had a Snapchat request from this very man. We'll call him Nick. I accepted it and we immediately started talking. I was very surprised at how much we clicked. The conversation was flirty at times, but mostly normal. We talked about our jobs, our pets, his kids, how I ended up in the club that night, and life in general. Next day, we did the same thing. That night, he asked me out on a date. He told me he'd been single for over a year. Anytime I meet a guy and they tell me that they've been single for a year or two, I'm triggered because it's not true.
It's not true.
You know why guys do that? It's because they're like, my God, if I tell her I've been single for a year or two or celibate, like 2 guys over the past year that have been like, oh yeah, I've been celibate for 6 months. No, you haven't. The lie detector read that's a lie. No, you're lying. You're fucking lying. He told me he'd been single for over a year. He hadn't been looking for anyone because he decided to just focus on his career and his 2 children. But that I was different than other women he talked to. Classic narcissistic move. Yes, the fuck it was. He's probably a Gemini or a Libra. But I was dumb. No, you weren't. We went on a date and from there dated for 2 months. He seemed like such a great guy. He told me he had served 10 years in the US Army. Oh girl, first red flag, first red flag. If you haven't seen my Dating a Marine story time, girl, click the link, click the link. He deployed in Afghanistan. He had just received an honorable discharge due to a back injury and a broken arm he had sustained while on deployment. He worked at one of the cell phone stores in our area. Second red flag. You only get played by a T-Mobile guy once, okay? One of the cell phone stores in our area full-time in addition to bouncing at the club a few nights a week. Girl, 3.
3.
3 for 3. 3 red flags. Working at a cell phone store and you're a bouncer? No. No. He's always telling me about his kids. If there was ever a day or night he couldn't hang out, it was because he had his 10-year-old daughter. He did have a 3-year-old son, but he said he hasn't been able to see him in over a year because his ex-wife was on the run with him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, oh, okay.
4th red flag, 4th red flag. Constantly changing her address and job so the court wouldn't be able to find her to serve her. There were times he had to cancel plans last minute to meet with his lawyer about the court case he was trying to bring against her, or when his daughter requested an extra night with him. Occasionally, he had to cancel due to work. He would cover shifts for his coworkers, or he had to stay after his shift at the club for employee meetings. Yeah, those employee meetings really be getting them to stay late. Like, I remember when my ex would say that all the time. He'd be like, oh yeah, I'm working late tonight. I'm not gonna be home till 11. You work at a bounce house. You work at a bounce house. You work at a bounce house probably making $15. What are you staying after for? I'm pretty sure they close at 9. Why are you coming home at almost midnight? It's because you're cheating.
If 2 plus 2 is 4, right? And 5 plus 5 is 10. Okay. What the fuck is this?
Math ain't mathing. Oh, so ghetto. To add to everything, his grandfather suffered from Alzheimer's disease and was in poor health coming to the end of his life. Wow, this man really has like a fucking telenovela. Jesus Christ. Nick was his power of attorney. So there were also times when you have to drop everything to be with him. Work and family are important to me, so I never questioned it or was bothered by it. He'd even asked me to be his date to his work holiday party in November with the official RSVP and meal selection attached. Moving on to the Saturday before Halloween when shit went down and the web began to unravel. Yes, we love to see it. We had plans to watch a movie at my house that night. We had both worked that day and he told me he couldn't wait to get that day over with and come be with me. He said he'd be over by 9 because after work he was helping one of his friends set up for a Halloween party. He promised him he'd spend an hour there once the party started. I got the movie ready in the Blu-ray player, had dinner, did some chores, and settled in bed to wait. By 9:30, I was worried. He last messaged me around 8:30 saying he'd be getting ready to head out soon. I sent him a message and didn't hear a word. He wasn't active on anything. Oh, so she went to like all his socials and basically saw like he wasn't posted or anything like that. I reached out to his... Oh, no, don't seize, don't seize. Makeup looks too good. Don't do it, bitch. Don't do it. I'm thinking I could hold a note when I'm sick as A dog? What? Mariah Carey with no auto-tune wear. I reached out to his roommate around 10, but he said he didn't know anything about his whereabouts and that he wasn't answering him either. The roommate was definitely in on it, but okay. I called a few times, phone rang and rang, nothing. It was moving on to 11. At this point, I felt sick to my stomach. Woman's intuition. I called my best friend and she came right over. She assured me that it was probably fine. Maybe he stayed out, had a few drinks, lost track of time. Your friend is definitely a Virgo because she calmed you down. Like, you're definitely a water sign. Because if I would have been going crazy.
I bust the windows out your car.
There was nothing on the police scanner to indicate trouble, so I resigned myself that she was probably right. At almost 1 in the morning, I decided I should go to sleep as I had work in the morning. I just laid in bed crying. I had this horrible feeling of pit in my stomach. Not that he was dead, but my intuition was literally screaming at me that things were not what they seemed and that he was being unfaithful. Around 2 a.m., I heard my phone ring. It was another one of my good friends calling because she noticed I was active and wanted to see why I was awake so late. I answered the phone and told her what was up. She went quiet. She told me she was sitting in the parking lot of the club picking up one of her friends who had asked her for a ride. She goes, "Girl, I have some bad news. I literally just saw Nick coming out of the club and there's another girl with him and she's wearing his jacket." Let me find out it was a jean jacket. One thing that my ex loved to do is wear a jean jacket while he was going to cheat on me. Like, get rid of the jean jacket. Denim on denim. You should be in federal prison if you wear that. I'm just saying. Slowly evacuated my body. I asked her to get off the call and get as close as she could and send me pictures so I could be sure and see who it was. She took pictures and videos for the next half hour and sent them all to me. The girl he was with was barely 21 and who we'll call Taylor. I mentioned her before saying they had a fling early that spring, but that she became obsessed with him, so he broke it off and hadn't talked to her since. Mind you, Nick was almost 30 at the time. Sounds about right. One thing about these narcissistic cheaters is they love them some younger girls. What does Olivia say? Because girls your age know better. Sometimes they don't though. The photos and video told a different story. They were hugging, playing around in the parking lot. He was checking his phone while scanning the parking lot and street as if expecting someone to catch him at any moment. To complete the picture, Taylor was wearing a pair of shoes that I'd seen in his car a week into dating. Oh girl, she was there the whole time. She was there the whole time, like a bad yeast infection. That's crazy. He told me belonged to his daughter. Oh my God, not blaming on the daughter. I cannot begin to tell you the rage I felt. I somehow went to sleep and went to work the next morning telling all of my coworkers what had happened. My best friend wanted to go to his house and confront him, but I told her not to. I still didn't process everything, and early in the afternoon I got a message on Snapchat. It was from Nick. He was apologizing, telling me that he just woke up at home with no recollection of how he got there. He told me his friend's party, he'd had an edible from one of the party goers that he thought was laced with something because he couldn't remember anything after telling his friend that he was about to leave to go see me. Sure, you couldn't remember going to the club with another girl whose shoes were in your car a week into y'all dating because the girl was there the whole time like a bad yeast infection. You couldn't remember that? Crazy, I swear. Amnesia's thing. He said he felt awful for not showing up for me and asked if I was okay and if he could make up for it by taking me to go see the Joker. Oh, what a fitting movie. What a fitting movie, which had just been released in theaters. Fitting, coming from an actual class. Oh my God. I always say like you know what? Nah, I need to stop talking about the father of my child. I need to stop talking about my exes because more people are starting to see my videos and it's getting me in trouble. I mean, I don't care, but I'm trying to mature. But listen, I'm not all the way saved, okay? 50% namaste, 50% bitch don't play, okay? Pray with me, don't play with me.
Play with your mama.
I decided to hold off on confronting him and told him he could, but that we'd have to talk first. He said he completely understood and apologized again. He picked me up at my house promptly at the time we scheduled plans. It was pouring rain. I hopped in the car and immediately asked him what happened. Someone had to know something. Wasn't there anyone who could tell him about the events of the night before? I thought he'd get defensive, but he actually didn't. He said he'd been in contact with one of his friends, a female, that was not Taylor, who had been at the house party. She said she was the one who had given him a ride home and that his roommate took him to pick up his car that was at the club the next day. He said he was starting to remember bits and pieces of the night, like losing his phone at the party, ending up at the club, some of the people he was with, but nothing else. He said he felt like he had the worst hangover imaginable, but he never drank anything besides one beer and the edible. No one he was around could recall him consuming anything else. That's when I decided to bring up what I knew. I told them one of my friends I had seen him with Taylor wearing his jacket in the club parking lot. I left the part out about the shoes because I was already gaslighting myself into believing that I was crazy. He shrugged and said, well, when I woke up, I had my phone back from the party and was wearing my jacket, so I must have taken it back. You don't have anything to worry about with Taylor, though. We talked the other night while I was working. I told her about you, and she's seeing one of my friends now. His lack of defensiveness and seemingly unfiltered honesty sold me. Yo, for real, like, that's the one thing about, like, being with a narcissist is, like, the one time you do confront them and they're honest and they are, like, so laid back and not defensive, you're like, oh, okay, well, they must be telling the truth, because 9 times out of 10, you confront them and they're normally like riled up, or they already have like a lie in hand, or they're just like, this is what I'm talking about, you're always tripping X, Y, and Z. And then the one time you confront them, like they're actually not like that, you think, oh, then they're not lying. It's crazy. Been there, done that. Lack of defensiveness, unfiltered honesty sold me, even though my intuition was still screaming otherwise. We chatted some more on the way to the movie, and he continued to apologize profusely. He told me he wouldn't normally have even taken an edible from someone he didn't know, but that day at work he had been on the phone call with his grandfather's doctor and made the decision that next week his grandfather would be starting hospice care and was not in a good headspace. For those of you guys who don't know what hospice is, it's basically like the last place that you get transferred to that prepares you for like death. It's really an awful experience. I remember I visited my grandma there when she was passing away, and it was just horrendous. It was horrible. I felt so bad, feeling guilty for thinking the worst of him when he was preparing to go through something so terrible. He thanked me for being so understanding. The rest of the night went great. We watched the movie, went back to my house, and he apologized for not being able to come in, but his back was killing him. Yeah, I'm sure it was, because he was doing something, and it wasn't taking care of his grandfather. We kissed goodnight and I went to bed. The next day I heard from him like usual. Everything went back to normal the next couple of days. But the day before Halloween, I barely heard from him at all. He told me he was dealing with some mental stuff and he was preparing to meet with his grandfather's hospice care doctor later that week. He also told me he had taken a day off and was bringing his daughter to the local corn maze. Oh, probably a lie, but oh. I hung out with my best friend and her boyfriend after work. The whole time I did not hear from him at all. My gut knew something was wrong. I got back home late and got a text from him. He told me that he had to end things with me because he realized that he wasn't ready to commit to a relationship and that I deserved better from him. He explained that morning his ex from over a year ago, who we'll call Lisa, had showed up to his house randomly to talk, and they ended up hooking up. What the fuck?
Is it crack, cocaine, or meth you smoke? What type of drugs you want?
What? Okay, so besides the whole Taylor thing, now this girl Lisa randomly shows up to his freaking doorstep and they hook up. What are you? Oh my god, men are so stupid. If you're gonna lie, lie good. You can't be a bad liar and a cheater. You have to pick one struggle. One, just one. Okay, thank you so much. Canceled the court maze on his daughter because he was so distraught about what he did. He told me he was sorry, but that he couldn't lie to me. I stared at the message in disbelief. I tried to call him, but he blocked my number, blocked my Snapchat, and blocked me on social media. I spent the next few days crying, mad at myself, and infuriated with him. A couple weeks went by, and one of my friends convinced me to go out to the club with her to distract myself. It was now mid-November. It was a night he usually didn't work, so I agreed. No sooner did we grab our drinks and sat down, Nick walked in with a small group of friends that included none other than Taylor. I was mind blown at what I seen. My friend was furious and she'd been suspicious of him all along. At that moment, one of her friends, who we'll call Joe, saw us and walked over to say hi. She told him what had happened. He shook his head. He looked at me and said he'd known Nick for years, and as horrible as this was, none of it surprised him. They weren't speaking, but from what he knew, Nick and Taylor had been dating since spring. Oh god, wait. They had been dating since spring. This whole altercation where he told you that he had to break up with you because he had mental stuff going on, his ex showed up and he hooked up with her, was in October, day before Halloween. But they've been dating, something's not adding up here. Okay, let's continue to read. He'd seen them together numerous times, as well as Nick driving her car and shopping together at Target. Not him driving her car. That's one thing I don't remember Adam dropping Eve off at work and taking her car for the day to go cheat on her. Just saying, I don't remember. Every day, I understand why Eve ate the apple. Like, I really do. I get it, girl. I knew I had to get to the bottom of this, so I called Nick's roommate the next morning. I asked him, and he said the last time he'd seen or heard of Taylor was late in the summer, right around the time Nick and I started dating. All he knew, I was the only one Nick was with or talked about. Yeah, sure, buddy. That wasn't in line with the timeline Nick had given me, but I took it as the truth because he also worked part-time at the club, and he told me that Nick and Joe had a massive falling out, so he wouldn't be surprised if Nick was lying to me to make him look bad. I thanked him and we got off the phone. During the call, Nick had unblocked me on a messaging app and told me he realized he saw me last night, how much he missed me, and still wanted me in his life if I'd have him in it. Ugh. In true moron fashion, I messaged him back, taking the bait. Oh girl, we talked and he asked if he could come talk to me in person that night. He arrived again on time and told me that one of he and Taylor's mutual friends had arranged the get together and that Taylor had convinced him to message me. He had wanted to for the past 2 weeks, but he didn't want to hinder my healing. Oh, we love a considerate cheater. He told me he still wasn't ready to put a label back on us because he wants to cheat while still having you, but that he still wanted me in his life. We ended up going out to dinner and coming back to my place and hooking up. We kept talking through the rest of the fall and early winter, hooking up occasionally, but mostly being friends. Friends don't know how friends taste, I'm just saying. I should note that he told me a few days before his work holiday party that he had to cancel his reservation because his grandfather was getting worse every day and had just been admitted to the hospital, that they believed he wouldn't make it through the rest of the year. Shortly after, the facade came to an end when the mother of his daughter came to work at my place of employment. Oh my God, what? The mother of his daughter came to work at your job? Let's keep reading. We got to talking one day and she revealed everything. The entire time Nick and I had been together, right up to the day he had been in a relationship with Taylor. He hadn't seen his daughter more than a handful of times since summer. He hadn't had her overnight or in his car in years. What? And he was severely behind on child support. Of course. He's a liar, he's a cheater, and he's broke. Of course. Must be a Gemini. Was constantly making plans to see her and then not showing up. He didn't have a lawyer for his son. His ex-wife actually lived right in town. He had never reached out to see his son since he was an infant. His roommate was good friends with him and was covering up his relationships with both Taylor and me to each other. That was in exchange for Nick covering up his roommate cheating on his own girlfriend with multiple strippers at the strip club. Oh my God, we love bros that stick together. We just love that shit, love it. Also, never been deployed and had been in the army but got out of deployment by hurting himself in the gym on purpose when his daughter was a toddler. What? He had hooked up with his ex Lisa, effectively cheating on both me and Taylor at the same time. Lisa didn't know Taylor or I existed because he told her he had been single since they originally split up, mostly due to him cheating on her with random women from Court and Dunkin' Donuts. How does Dunkin', oh my God. What is Dunkin' Donuts? That's random. And oh my God. Claimed he was in therapy again and working to be a better man for her. They were quietly dating each other through the fall and winter. Furthermore, his grandfather was in perfect health. He had never been sick once that year, and his mind was sharp as a tack. That makes me so mad. That makes me, okay, I'm not crying. It's just, I'm really sick right now, and like everything's falling out from my eyes and my nose and just everywhere. But how do you use your poor grandfather as a conduit to your cheating by saying he's in hospital? Are you okay? Somebody get this man a mental evaluation ASAP, Rocky. I took the time to do some more investigating, and both Lisa, his ex-wife, and one of his coworkers confirmed that what she was saying was true to a T. His coworker from the phone store, who I had become friends with, confirmed that he had not canceled his RSVP to the work party. He had gone with Taylor. He was on the verge of getting fired for being late, calling in, and having horrible sales numbers. How do you get threatened to be fired from T-Mobile? What? I think it's harder to get fired from, like, anywhere else. I don't understand that. Okay. He was a serial cheater and had cheated on all of his partners multiple times. To make matters worse, I was advised by his ex-wife and the mother of his daughter to get myself tested because he's had chlamydia for a decade. Sure enough, I was positive. I wrestled with confronting him, but I knew it was a waste of time. He was, according to Lisa and his ex-wife, a diagnosed pathological liar and sociopath, as it turned out. And whenever he was confronted, he maintained his own version of the truth, no matter how much his stories didn't add up. His therapist he had been seeing during his relationships with both his ex-wife and Lisa had dropped him as a client due to his dishonesty, frequency of no-shows, and unwillingness to admit his own faults. How do you get dropped by your own therapist? Like, if your own therapist drops you, that's how you know you're an actual piece of garbage. Like, what the hell? And the fact that you have STD and you're giving it to every woman that you sleep with and you're not getting cured, I think that is literally, like, you deserve to be in hell with R. Kelly if you do that shit. Because let me tell you something, ladies. At these normal gyno checkups, which you should be going once a year, they don't do a full STD, STI screening. They only do like chlamydia, like if you have like BV or yeast or anything like that. They don't test for HIV, they don't test for herpes, and they don't test for, what's another one, like HPV. You can only get that done through blood work, and they don't offer that. You have to ask for it, and most girls don't know that and are going underdiagnosed because they have something dormant because you don't always have symptoms. So at your normal gyno routine, please get the blood screening as well. I decided to block him on everything and carry on with my life. I later learned by a chance encounter at work from his former manager, they had finally been fired from the cell phone store for hacking into women's phones and taking their nudes and Apple IDs. Somebody somewhere is doing that. Like, what? He and his roommate had been falling out, and he admitted to me that he'd been covering up Nick's relationship with Taylor and that she had been at the house almost every day the entire time we were together. And that before I came over, Nick would make sure it was when Taylor was working, and he'd move all her stuff to the spare bedroom. Whenever we'd go out to eat, it was never to the restaurant she worked at because he told me he was allergic to the food there. He still works at the club, and I have never been back. A couple years later, I had a different job, and he was messaging one of my coworkers under the guise of being single. Everything on his social media was still private, even to friends. No one is able to tag him in posts or post in his timeline, but his relationship status was, as it had always been, single. Went to Taylor's social media profile, and she had on there that she had been in a relationship since 2019. Her profile picture was the two of them, and she had just that day posted multiple photos of them together, referring to him as her man. What a man. What a man to claim. Like, oh my God. Like, good job, girl. Like, what? Both together and with her family at the event. I told my coworker about the experience with him and sent her the photos. She immediately confronted him with the pictures, and when I tell you the audacity of this man, he told her he didn't know why he was in her pictures, said he must have been walking by when the photos were snapped or the photos were photoshopped, and claimed I've never seen that woman in my life, talking about Taylor, the bitch he literally fucking lives with.
What?
Coworker blocked him and thanked me. Apparently they hadn't hooked up yet, but he had taken her on a breakfast date the day before, claiming he had been single for almost 3 years. I'm happy to say that despite everything, I learned my lesson. I just got married to my soulmate, and I'm surrounded by only good, honest, positive people. To this day, Nick and Taylor are still together. Well, they probably deserve each other because she's probably a bitch too. But he still won't publicly acknowledge it. Of course he won't. Of course he won't. Because if you allow a man to have sex with you, go on dates with you, cheat on you, and you don't do anything, like you just continue to enable that, of course he's not going to publicly claim you because he knows that he can have you and still have other girls. Like, yeah. Many people have come forward to her to let her know what kind of person she's with, but she doesn't believe any of it. She's still young, so hopefully eventually she'll figure it out, but that's not my problem now. Wow, girl. There is... Everyone just take a sip of their drinks because, wow. There's so much to unpack here. There's so much to unpack here, and I don't even know if my words can do justice to what I want to unpack here, but I will say this. Coming from somebody who has been in a similar situation, not nearly as wow as that, but similar, right? Y'all see my Adrian story times. I look back and I tell myself, first of all, that everything happens for a reason, right? Because of this story, she was able to strengthen her self-worth, strengthen her self-esteem, and heal from what happened with this horrible piece of shit who doesn't love himself, doesn't love anybody, is probably a narcissist, probably a Gemini, and is literally gonna have a seat in hell next to R. Kelly. But besides the point, she was able to learn that your intuition is always right, and our intuition is like our navigating system, our GPS, right? And when we don't listen to that, it can really get us into some shit that we are not meant to get into. I look back at the relationships I had with men who were like serial cheaters, serial liars, and I always knew that something was off. Even if I didn't have concrete evidence, I just had that fleeting feeling. I was telling myself, okay, well, I don't have evidence, so I'm not going to do anything, because I need evidence. Because the thing about these men is they are such good liars. They're such good liars, and 9 times out of 10, at least what my ex used to do, is they would already have lies like lined up to tell me, basically. And again, there was other moving parts where it's like, if I would confront my ex and he wasn't angry or he wasn't defensive, I would think the same thing. I'd be like, oh, well, he must be telling the truth then, because normally he's defensive, normally he's angry, normally he's frustrated, but today he's not, so he must be like telling the truth, rather than me using my discernment. Discernment is the ability to tell whether somebody is being honest with you or not, whether someone's a good person or not, whether you should make this decision or that decision. And when you are so disconnected from your body, especially as a woman, okay, you can't listen to your intuition. You'll take it as anxiety, or you'll take it as, oh, I'm just being crazy, right? Because that's what these men want. They want us to think that we are absolutely batshit crazy. They say I've been called crazy, I've been right. So am I crazy, or am I just smart? Being disconnected from your body and trying to listen to your intuition and what your body's telling you is like getting into a car and putting in the address to the mall in your GPS. And you have it in your mind that you want to go to the mall and you want to get to the mall, and you may even remember what the mall looks like, right? But you put it into your GPS and your GPS is dead. Like, it's not turning on, it's malfunctioning, it's glitching, right? And that's because you can't get to where you need to be and listen to your body when you're disconnected from it. Being disconnected from your body happens from trauma, it happens from not listening to yourself, and it happens from abandoning yourself, right? A lot of times what we do with these men is, because we don't want to abandon somebody else, we abandon ourselves. Every time that you go back to something that has hurt you, that has destroyed you, that has caused you pain, you're doing a disservice to yourself. You are abandoning yourself. You are hurting yourself when you go back to that person that broke you. I always say it all the time. Don't go back to what broke you, because it broke you so that way you can learn, gain wisdom from it, and gain experience. That way you don't go back. That's why things happen in life, you guys. Everything happens for a freaking absolute reason. And the reason is because you're not supposed to go back to what broke you. You're not supposed to go back to people, places, and situations that hurt you, because the hurt was there for the first time. That's why I always say, like, I don't give second chances anymore, because why am I going to give you a second chance to hurt me the way you did the first time? The first time was enough. I don't need a rerun. Like, I don't need a rerun. It's like a bad sequel to a movie that wasn't good the first time. Like, no, thank you. But I think that's the main message of this story, is like, always listen to your intuition. Even if you don't have concrete evidence, the feeling is there. There's been multiple times where I've stayed somewhere and I've said to myself, I'm not leaving until I have concrete evidence. And then God is like, oh girl, okay, well, here's a hey girl DM, or here's a girl, I don't know if you know this, but your man DM right in front of your face. And then I still get the concrete evidence and then I still don't listen to it, because I'm like,
It's not enough.
9 times out of 10, girl, like, when you are asking for a sign, that is a sign within itself, okay? It's a sign that your body is trying to tell you something. Our bodies are always talking to us. We just have to listen. I think the best lesson from the story that we've learned today is always listen to your intuition. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And self-esteem and self-worth really does play a role in the partners that we let in, okay? It's not about what we attract, it's about what we let in. And who we let in is directly correlated into how we feel about ourselves, okay? And if you feel good about yourself and you love yourself, you're only gonna let in people that equate to that energetic frequency. You're not gonna let in people who lie to you, who make you feel bad about yourself, or who do like awful things to you. And that's why, like, I'm proud of this girl, because even after all the information that she got, I'm sure if she really wanted to, she could have went back to Nick, but she didn't because she loved herself enough to walk away. I actually have a podcast episode on that. It's literally called Loving Yourself Enough to Walk Away. And I always say, you will eventually get full at the table that you're sitting at. You will get full, you will walk away, and you will get up, and you will never go back to eat there again. And I think that's what had to happen with this lovely subscriber here is, yes, did she go back? Yes. But at the same time, she went back because she didn't have her fill just yet. She needed to put that final nail in the coffin that was like, okay, this is over. And that will happen. Like, if you're in a situation like this right now and you're like, damn, like, I'm with a guy and I know he's not good for me, but I just cannot walk away just yet, you're gonna get sick of it eventually. You are going to get sick of his shit or your own shit eventually, and you are gonna get full and you are going to walk away. And it's going to be so powerful and monumental to your healing journey, story, testimony. Maybe it's just something you have to go through right now because you haven't learned a lesson just yet. Like, I think when she went back the second time, there was still more she had to learn from that relationship. Thank God she got out of it safe. Thank God she is clean from anything that this guy has ever done to her, given to her, etc. And look at her now, because she loved herself enough to walk away. She's in an amazing marriage with her soulmate. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what other happy ending could you possibly want for such a crazy story? And now she has knowledge to not only teach like her future kids, or the people around her, her friends, her family, but now she knows for herself what it's like when you say no to the wrong things so you can say yes and bring in the good things. The soulmate that she's with now would not have came in if she didn't say bye to Nick. The man she's with now would not be there if she was still with Nick. When you say no to the wrong things, you open up your life to say yes to the right ones. You make room for it, right? You can't bring in more boxes into a room when the room is full to the brim with boxes. You have to let some of them out. That's why we do spring cleaning. And sometimes spring cleaning on subliminal mindsets or limiting mindsets, limiting beliefs about ourselves, low self-esteem, things like that, is really what we need to do. So girl, thank you so much for sending in this story. I really enjoyed reading it. That shit had me on the edge of my seat. Like, I don't think I could have brought back this series with more, like, with a better story. Like, what? But I am so sorry you had to go through that. Do not ever look back and judge yourself, because girl, I've been there. If you've watched me for a while, then you know from my Adrian story times, I went back. Like, I did. I had to go back until I was full enough to walk away. And now, no, absolutely the fuck not. Because why would I go back to somebody who hated me? Like, I literally wouldn't. But thank you for being brave enough to not only share your story, but be vulnerable with me. Thank you for your kind words. You are an example to other women out there that when you walk away and close the doors of a life that is no longer meant for you, that you open up a doorway to a whole new life that was always meant for you. So thank you so much. If you guys also want to send in either like Ask Dakota questions or advice or story time topics, go ahead and hit my email. It's going to be right here. Also always in the description box for your convenience. Please don't forget to follow me on all of my socials. Always here, always linked in the description box as well for your convenience. Don't forget to follow me on my podcast called Sis Let's Heal, because we talk a lot more over there about this stuff, but in a more sophisticated, you know, filtered, not filtered, but like structured way. And yeah, thank you so much for sending this in. If you guys enjoyed it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. It is free, and turn your post notifications on by clicking that bell icon. That way you never miss an upload, period. Comment down below if you've ever been in a situation like this, because the more that I read these like stories from you guys, I'm just like, we have all been through. We've all had an Adrian. We've all had an Adrian. It's crazy. Merry Christmas to those who celebrate, because Christmas is my favorite holiday. And I wasn't really feeling the spirit, but I decided to get in this little sweater, decorate my corner a little bit, and to just get over it. Because girl, the holidays are here. You can either enjoy them or be miserable. But anyway, I love you guys so, so, so much. Until next time, stay safe. Wear condoms. Don't let anybody's dusty, rusty, crusty sun get you in your feelings. I'll see you in my next video. Hopefully not sick. Bye.